So I got here MetroboardX. This is Metroboard's latest and fancy electric skateboard model. This is one of the first batches to be released to the public. This is the full production model as of August 2019. I'm not being paid or sponsored by Metroboard. This is just my personal experience, and I'm just sharing this review video just so people know what this is. As far as personal experience, I skated in middle school, high school, and part of early college. Then I just quit. The most I could do was a pop shove it in an ollie. That was about 12 years ago. I'm 33 now. I'm older. I'm paying my own bills. I just wanted something to kind of get back into skating and at the same time not risk serious injury because I like to pay my bills and put food on the table. So I consider myself probably knocked back down to beginner when I got this board earlier this month. I'll go over this board here with you real quick. The whole entire thing itself is 47 inches long. That's almost 4 feet. It is 10 inches wide, so there's plenty of real estate for you to put your feet anywhere on this thing. The deck is made of carbon fiber, so there's not a lot of flex on this. There is also a 1-inch drop on here from the top of the deck down to the bottom, which is pretty good because it lowers your center of gravity, makes for a little bit more of a stable ride. Now the grip tape, it's a beautiful design. Someone took some time to cut out the designs and stick it on this board. It is just beautiful. It has a MetroboardX logo on it, and it's just beautiful. However, there are parts of it where I put my feet on, and the grip tape is just peeling off. And I've only had this board for less than a month. I probably put about 35 to 40 miles on this. So it really wasn't that long at all. I much would have preferred a full grip tape and maybe part of the metal cut out with MetroboardX's name on it. But otherwise, I'll probably just change it out and put my own grip tape on it after I just shred the shit out of this. What else can we talk about? So you have two options for this board. You have the street tires, which come in these ABEC 11 that are 107 millimeter in size, and you got the all-terrain tires. Now with all that, if you get both options, that's going to run about $2,500, $2,499. With shipping, that's an extra $100. At least it was for me, and so that comes out to be $2,600. Now you do have the option of going either with just the street tires or just the all-terrain tires. Personally, I just wanted a little bit of both worlds. I like the option of the all-terrain tires and the street tires. So let's go to the trucks real quick. I'm going to have to read this out. This is kind of a mouthful. I can't remember all this. The trucks are double bushing, precision, CNC, machine aluminum trucks. It helps make it turn a little bit tighter, but on the downside, with the street tires I've experienced when trying to reach top speed, speed wobbles kind of become a factor in this. But for a board that's 4 feet long, that's kind of needed. It doesn't have a tight turn radius. Carving on it's fun, but as far as like turning on a dime, it's a pretty heavy turn. And let's talk about the weight. So with the street tires, this thing comes out to be 28 pounds. With the all-terrain tires, it comes out to be 29 pounds. That's almost 30 pounds. This is a heavy, heavy board, but it's also a tough board. From what I've seen, Metroboard has a reputation of really good product, and basically the boards are like tanks. So you get what you pay for, which is apparently really good quality. Going to the back now, this thing has a battery gauge right next to the switch. You power it on and it shows you a percentage of the battery. You can also charge it without flipping the board over. That was part of the selling point of that part. You just hook it up in the back. You don't have to flip this board over, especially being at 30 pounds, and it just makes it a little bit more convenient. It also comes with a handle in the back to lug this board around or walk it like a carry-on lug or a airport luggage, one of those rolly luggage. What I really would have liked is if MetroBoard had like handles on the side to carry this thing. Like this thing is, like I said, is 4 foot long. I would have liked the convenience of carrying it sideways instead of upright. But otherwise, I mean, it's okay. It's not too bad. Another feature on this board are the lights. It comes with lights. You have white lights up front to illuminate the way in the dark, or just show where you're at. On the back side of each truck, or on the inside, are some blue lights that go under the board, and it's a very beautiful thing to see. It's kind of like skating on a wave of lights. And on the back, you got the 2 red lights. So you'll be seen at night pretty well. This thing illuminates very well. Typically during the day, I'll ride with the lights off. That does save me a little bit of battery. But at night, I'll definitely have it on. I like to be seen. I don't like to be hit by cars. And this thing does come with a remote, of course. That's how you go forward and backwards and stop on this board. It has the thumb wheel, which is very convenient. I like the feel of it. I don't like the RC remote grips because, you know, when you fall, which first reaction you're gonna grip. With the thumb remote, you can grip pretty hard, but your thumb is pretty much on its own, doing its own thing. So I don't have to worry about, you know, accidentally flipping it forward or backwards. This thing also does come with an app that you download. It is for download for iPhone and Android. I have an Android, and it will connect by Bluetooth to the board, and it will record and also read your speed and distance, power setting, even the temperatures of the motor. However, the temperature is in Celsius. It would be nice in Fahrenheit. As far as the range on the street tires is listed as 30 miles. The speed on the street tires goes up to 26 miles per hour. I have not been able to reach that speed yet because of speed wobbles. I usually encounter them around 21, 22 miles an hour with those. I could time my trucks, but I like the ability to carve and turn a little bit tighter. I'd rather carve and turn than go really fast in one direction. I'm sure if my ankles got a little bit stronger, because I did recently get back into skateboarding, those speed walls will probably be less and less as I skate more. With the all-terrain tires, you get a range of 20 miles and a top speed of 23 miles per hour. Now, I recently went on a group skate with the DFW one-wheel group, and it was a pretty nice trail. We did about 20 and a half miles, and I did this on one charge. I wanted to see how far this would be able to go on one charge, and I had these all-terrain tires, which I just mentioned. The range is 20 miles. Well, I completed that circuit with that group at 20 and a half miles, and there were hills, there were dips, and there were times I was just on top of the acceleration. This thing not only did those 20.5 miles in one charge, I still had 10% left. And it still had a good amount of power, a good amount of acceleration. I didn't feel any decrease in power at all during this thing, so I am already impressed by this. So going back to the cost. So like I said, between the AT tires and the street tires, if you get both of them, it's the total price will come out to be about $24.99. That's before shipping and handling. But if you want to get one or the other, you have the option of just getting just the street tires or just the AT tires. When you do that, the price comes out to be $23.74 plus shipping. Now, if you're trying to decide which one to get, personally, I would go with the AT tires. The AT tires are great. It makes for a much more comfortable ride. Since this board is a carbon fiber board, it has no flex. The air-filled tires makes it a lot more cushioned and makes more for a comfortable ride. Like around here in Texas, there are shifts in the road and the sidewalks, and there tend to be cracks and raises in different parts of the concrete. So this goes over them just fine. I came over a bump that was just over an inch high, and I went over it without any big issue. I like the options of going from a paved concrete surface to the grass to the mud without an issue in transition. When I did that personally, it was pretty smooth. Just watch out for the holes, because grass hide holes. Now on the dirt road, this thing did okay. It's by no means a 4x4, but some of the trails are pretty rugged. Some of them aren't very level at all. I mean, they tilt pretty heavily. This board doesn't have any binders to strap your feet in, so it will not stick to your feet. One of the biggest issues I came across were the roots that were exposed out of the ground. This thing could go over it, but I had a really hard time staying on the board. I also had a hard time staying on the board on those little extreme inclines as the trail kind of tilted. Some of them worn down so much where it just kind of bowls down. I would say this thing would be better for those dirt roads where you take your grandma and grandpa on for a nice afternoon walk. I wouldn't say this is an actual off-road thing. And like I said, MetroboardX said that these tires are meant for more of the crappy street condition as opposed to the off-roading, which I really would prefer a name. I'm not trying to be politically correct or anything, but I wish they didn't call them AT or all-terrain tires, because they're not all-terrain. But if you just want something for speed and range, and you're in the city, you don't have to worry about dirt, then the street tires will be fine for you. It has supposedly a higher range and speed with these tires. So let's talk about some of my personal experience riding this board. So I started off with the street tires first. I knew they'd be a little bit more challenging to ride since they're harder and they're a little bit smaller than the AT tires. When you start with the board, especially like this one's a very powerful board, especially with how fast it goes. It's very intimidating. It was frightening. My buddy, who also skated a little bit, who's never ridden an e-board, I showed this to him. He rode it around a little bit. He went really slow too. After he rode it, he told me that was pretty fun, but he said, I quote, "I don't want to ride your murder board again." So the power of this thing can be very intimidating. Now, fortunately, on the app that you download on your phone, it does have the ability to limit the speed. You can limit at 5 miles an hour, 10 miles per hour. I have it on default where it just goes out to the max and I just ease on the throttle. On the remote, when you're riding this, you don't want to jam that throttle forward if you're just learning on this thing. You'll want to ease forward on it and take your time. Same thing for the braking. You brake on that thing too fast, you're going to be flying forward. So ease forward and ease back, whichever you're desiring at that moment. So when I started riding this, I kind of went through steps. I just practiced staying on the board. I just cruised around and just made sure I can get my skating legs back. Then after that, I started carving more. Get the side-to-side motion, get the feel for it. It took a minute, but it didn't take too long. Now, I tried to get as fast as I could. As far as the speed on the street tires, the fastest I could get it was about 21, 22 miles an hour before I started getting speed wobbles. But like I said, I'd rather have the mobility than the top speed. I'm not going in for a drag race or anything. Now on the AT tires, the top speed is 23 miles an hour. I believe I got up to 22, and then I just kind of backed off. So I'm not quite ready for those speeds yet. I'm still working my way up to them. Now, as far as the difference between the two on comfort, like I said before, the AT tires are great. They cushion all the cracks in the road, and it's just feels a lot more comfortable to ride. So I would say the most comfortable wheels are the AT tires, which is pretty obvious. They're air-filled, so yeah. Another thing I want to talk about is the motor, more particularly the noise. It's not that loud. It's actually pretty quiet. I mean, these street tires rolling and hitting the cracks are a lot louder than the motor. With these dual motors and all the power they have, it's actually a really quiet ride. So after saying all that, who is this board for? What type of person would want this board? In my honest opinion, if you can carry it around, it's for you. This thing, like I said, is 30 pounds, 4 foot long. I live on the second floor in my apartment here, and I gotta lug this thing up and down the stairs. So if you can lug it around, more power to you, get it. If you can't, I'd go with something a little bit smaller and lighter. Now, would it be for beginners? I would say absolutely. With that app, you can lower the power setting so it doesn't shoot all the way out up from under you. You can just take your time and work your way up. Personally, I like to have probably one of the more powerful boards and just learn off of that and build my way up. And that way, I'm always a little challenged. I'm always entertained by a board because, say I have it on 5 mile per hour setting. Hey, I mastered that. Now I can go 10 miles per hour. I mastered that, and so forth. So when I'm riding board, I'm always challenged, and that keeps me interested. But that's just my personal belief, because in the past I found that if I got the cheaper, less powerful toy, I always wanted something a little bit more and more after that. And, after a while, it kind of gets expensive. Now, this being roughly $2,500 with both options, I wouldn't say it's for people that are on the fence about getting to skating in general or even e-skating. If you're not sure if you want to do this stuff regularly or turn it to a hobby or passion, I would probably go with something a little bit cheaper, save yourself a couple of bucks until you absolutely know you want a good quality board. So really, if you're getting into the e-skating game, you really can't go wrong with any of these boards. The only reason I went with this board is because I like the option of having the street tires and the all-terrain tires. I like to change them out for whatever I need. That's just me personally. But like I said, if you're unsure, you can get a cheap $300 or $600 ain't cheap, but in the view of how expensive these things are, the lower cost e-boards, I would say start off with those and see how you like it. And if you don't, you can always sell it. But if you do like it, now you know what you can go for. So personally, I went with this MetroboardX for a couple of reasons. It is American made, it's made here in the US. Metroboard has a pretty good reputation, as I stated earlier. Their skateboards are high quality, they're built like tanks, and you're gonna get what you pay for. Now, these boards are made to order. Typically, it takes about 3 to 4 weeks for them to be made and then shipped out to you. And it is shipped by FedEx, which, being this expensive, someone does have to be home and sign for the delivery, or you can send it to FedEx office where you can pick it up. The customer service is pretty good. Alon, the owner of Metroboard, personally sent emails out about the Metroboard for the packaging information, or the shipping information, and he answered any questions I had personally about this board. This board also has a college discount policy. They knock off $50 when you buy any MetroboardX board, as far as my understanding. Check the website, but they do have a college discount program. I don't know how that works, but email them and ask. The other thing I like about this is the return policy. It has a 7-day return policy. At the end of the 7 days that after you received it, if you're happy with the board, keep it. If you're not, then you are able to return it for a refund. The only condition is don't beat the shit out of it. Make sure it's in good condition and that they can resell it. So don't treat it like a rental car under insurance. But all in all, I really like this board. I love it, actually. I was really impressed when I did my little group skate. It was great. It was really fun. The power behind it is good. Going up hills, it had no problem. The braking was great. Going downhill, overall, I'm just amazed by this board, and I really couldn't be happier with my decision. But like I said, this is just my 2 cents. I'm just some random guy just giving a review. But if you have any questions about this board here, I would say go to the Metroboard Facebook site or email them directly. They're pretty responsive. But as far as everything about the new MetroboardX, that's all I know, man.